Today the wait is finally over. Dragon Ball FighterZ finally has rollback netcode, or is at least having a rollback beta test on the PC. But having rollback is one thing and having good rollback is another. I mean, we've seen some pretty bad implementations in the past, so today I wanted to test just how good this rollback actually is, and to do so, I've played matches with folks from all over the world, Europe, America, and Japan, and my initial thoughts are that this is way better than what we had before, but some things are worse than ever. Now, I do wish this beta was also available on console because most of the issues are PC related. Dragon Ball FighterZ is a famously bad port on the PC, and if one of the players hasn't optimized their setup, both players will suffer. And I think rollback has actually made these issues worse than ever before. But the first thing I did today was check Twitter to see how the DBFZ community was feeling about this, and the takes are overwhelmingly positive. Europe playing US East Coast and actually enjoying themselves? Yeah, folks are happy. But that will not be everyone's experience, at least not all the time, and I really think it comes down to PC optimization for the most part. So, how good is the rollback? It's probably good, but this port is still cursed. I started my testing in Europe, after all, that's where I'm from. Hi, this is me, right here in Portugal. And the first match against the UK was actually great. I can usually play Tim just fine, even in delay-based netcode, but now with rollback, I don't have to worry about that delay variation. As soon as I start my combo, I know it's the same as doing it offline. Rollback is only gonna kick in when I'm in a block string or playing neutral. And the game did give us one rollback frame for most of the time, which I think could easily disappear if they just give us the option to add delay frames. If we could add 1 or 2 frames of fixed input delay, I mean, it might sound really bad, but that would make it pretty much the same as playing offline on PS4, and it would eliminate this needless rollback frame, but I'd say, so far, it's good. Then we traveled to Germany to play someone else, and also without any issues. Consistent connection all the way through until we decided to rematch and the lobby just crashed. I guess the netcode update isn't here to fix the lobbies, different issues I guess, one thing at a time. But then we played against Trader in Hungary and the issues started. It wasn't the most stable connection, with rollback frames sometimes jumping all the way to 6, and what was probably a performance issue. But once you're in a game like this, it starts to break where you least expect it. For instance, I landed this combo. He didn't tech, so it's blue. Thanks to that, I'm gonna get the kill here, and why? Why did it break the cutscene? Now, this match wasn't that bad. It was scary to see those numbers jumping all over the place, and you could definitely feel like something was off from time to time. But it's not too different from what it was with delay base, where every time the performance would act up, you would feel the delay spiking. Also, for some reason, both character portraits are just flashing like crazy. From time to time, they just start flashing. It's incredibly distracting. Please remove this. I don't know what is causing it. It's just weird. But for our final test in Europe, I went all the way to the Netherlands. Well, not physically, just online. And as soon as the game started, I knew this was gonna be a good one. Where the hell is Goten? This is one of my mods. His name is Poe, and to be fair, everyone was having issues with Poe. He tried to optimize the setup by turning every setting down as far as possible, but even then, it might not have been enough. The game didn't start bad at all. We were having the best match so far, under 7 milliseconds of ping, 0 rollback frames, that is, until we had this random interaction, and the game didn't know how to handle that, so it took a second. Just a quick pause. But things only got worse from here. It paused during this Majin Buu block string. I didn't put a level 3 there, maybe that's what caused it, I don't know. It didn't come out anyway, and it just kept happening, even during a level 3 animation where netcode is arguably not even needed. It was just way too frequent and random that you couldn't trust the game anymore, to the point that the game was actually eating my inputs during combos. And this is one of those things that just never happened between the two of us on delay base. Again, not saying delay is better than rollback, obviously, but some of these PC performance issues seem to be amplified on rollback. Optimizing your setup is more important than ever before. But it's time to leave Europe. Let's travel all the way to the United States and run some tests across the ocean, since everyone in the EU is loving their time playing against the East Coast. Welcome to the East Coast. My first test was against a New Yorker, and it was a pretty bad match. But it was obvious why. Every time there was a super or a dragon rush, you would feel it getting worse and then recovering. You can see that ping going up, and whenever this happens during cutscenes, that means poor optimization. So we went back to the lobby, and turns out the game defaults your settings to windowed mode. Doesn't matter what optimization you did before, this rollback build is going to default it to windowed. So after changing that single setting, things got a lot better. We started the match with a really solid 1 to 2 frames of rollback, and then it started getting worse, and by the end of the match, it was awful once again. So no idea what happened there. But playing like this makes it really tough to hit confirm or even just moving around, because it's not just the characters teleporting, the whole stage does it. When characters are closer, the camera zooms in, and when they're further away, it zooms out. That's the way it works in every fighting game, but in this one, because the movement is so chaotic, those zoom-ins just make the whole stage feel like like it's shaking, it's jarring. But I wanted to try more people, so we moved to Georgia for another test. And this time, even though the rollback frames weren't so bad, the game was actually stuttering even when I was the one doing the combos, which kind of defeats the purpose of rollback a little bit. For the most part, this was actually a better experience than the New York match, even though the distance was bigger, but the stutters were just unpredictable, which I think supports my theory that this build is just super sensitive to your graphic settings. But I wasn't about to give up on the East Coast after 2 bad experiences, and so we traveled to Massachusetts. This is where another one of my mods lives, Enderup. And we used to play this game all the time in a very stable 5-frame delay connection. It wasn't ideal, but it felt like we were pretty close to getting a good connection. And now with rollback, I thought we could finally enjoy it, but it's also bad. I'm not gonna lie, this was the match that made me depressed. I've been looking forward to playing Enderup for a really long time. When rollback got announced, he was one of the first people that I thought of. And yet, it still doesn't feel like we're gonna be able to play. Why is he over there? I really tried to make it work with Enderup, even lowered my own settings. He put his to the lowest possible as well, and it didn't really change much, unfortunately. This guy? Oh, it's him again. Funny enough, going further into America actually improved things. I played this guy from Texas, and it was surprisingly good given all these tests so far. I saw the rollback indicator going anywhere from 3 to 5 frames, but it always felt consistent. I mean, hit confirming could still be tricky, and yes, smash animations would still bug out, but out of all the North American tests so far, this one felt the best, which once again just tells me it's mostly your PC, not the distance. And the confirmation came from Avatar Yaya, who gave me the worst match of the day. Man lives in Chicago, and well, we got it all. We got the teleporting neutral, we got hits rolling back into block, we got the freezes, we got the stutters during combos, we got every single issue. I think further proving that distance isn't as big of a problem as your setup. And it's not that Yaya doesn't know how to optimize his stuff, it's just that when we played, we didn't know that the game would default your settings to windowed. I mean, I checked immediately because that's the first thing I do when I boot up the game, but Yaya probably didn't even check, and so we had the most cursed experience. But what happens when you go even further? What happens when you try to play someone from Japan? Well, I got some matches with Nikito, and the results surprised me. It's 7 frames of rollback all the way through, but it is surprisingly consistent, which means when I land a combo, it's offline. I'm not dropping combos because of delay anymore, I'm dropping combos because I'm bad. So you could say, hey, it's playable. Okay, sure, but it doesn't mean it's great. At 7 frames, you're gonna get the teleporting neutral. And I mean, just think of UI Goku here. He has a 6-frame light attack. With 7 frames of rollback, you just don't see it come out. It's instant. So mix-up, neutral is still hard to play in this environment, but it is way better than with delay-based netcode. So what's the conclusion? Well, it's still early and it's only been a day, but I truly think setup optimization is going to be the main issue moving forward, which might explain why all the pros are having a good time on Twitter, but that's not going to be the general experience. I think I've said this before, but there are some very good guides on how to optimize your Dragon Ball FighterZ setup. If you don't want to go through all of that, at the very least, put your game on full screen. Windowed and full screen windowed are the #1 performance killers in this game. But since this is a beta, I want to make that my first piece of feedback. Someone not optimizing their setup has a very negative impact on the whole match, but it's going to take optimizing the whole game for PC for them to fix this, which I'm not expecting them to do at this point. Maybe this won't be an issue on consoles, we'll see, but if something like crossplay is even in the works, at some point this PC issue will have to be addressed. Please fix the portraits flashing while in neutral, it's very jarring. The unexpected cutscenes breaking in smash finishes and some supers as well, and the great Saiyaman, for some reason, breaking cutscenes too. And finally, if possible, give us the option to add manual delay. A frame or 2 of input delay can make the experience feel the same as offline PlayStation and at the same time help the rollback be a bit more consistent. But that is the rollback beta in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Personally, I don't think it's there yet, but it's definitely better than what we had before. I hope they use this beta to make it even better before the final release. But let me know what your experience has been like in the comments down below. And if you want to see how folks at UFA reacted to this announcement, check out this video filmed straight from the middle of the crowd. Thanks for watching. Boy.